fucking guys. Oh shit.
Yeah. You think you know better than me? I'm a dad of 3. Well, what do you need? What are you gonna teach me?
I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the fucking lies you believe. The things that are robbing you from intimate relationship with your son, robbing you from leading your wife, robbing you from being the man of God. Brothers, don't just watch the conversations. Join our free 5-day challenge and start building the life God created you for. The link is below. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to the King's Men podcast, where we are talking about leadership in Christ's kingdom. And this is Sebastian and Danny. We are together because we just finished the Forge Legacy training. So let me give you a little context to this. This crazy guy here next to me, my best friend, business partner, life partner, not that kind of life. We've been saying a lot of stupid things this weekend. But he called me up. We're having a Forge training like in August. He just said, hey, my son just graduated. Him and his friends went to training, and it evolved into their parents coming, their fathers coming. And we said, hey, we never done this. Let's do a father and son training. And we just evolved it, made it happen in a couple of weeks, and we just finished. I am physically, mentally, emotionally exhausted, but from a different perspective than Danny is. I led the training. Danny normally leads it with me, but this time he was fully participating with his son and his son's best friend that he brought, who Danny became the surrogate father for this weekend. And Danny is tired because he participated in all the activities. But this will get good feedback not only from all the players, but from someone who understands training like Danny, so we can make it something that is a blessing for the future. So we're going to dive right into it. And I think if I could ask you one question as an audience, is this: are you repeating your father's negative behaviors? And if that resides you, like, yeah, I mean, I see some stuff I do I hate. I see my father do it, it pisses me off. And it's like, we call it the generational curse coming down. And it's just behaviors that don't align with God's behavior. It's not some voodoo crap. It's just behaviors that your father did because he's a sinful, fallen person like all of us. And they just weren't working because they weren't aligned with God's principles. Danny and I are committed to breaking that behavior pattern. By first, you have to acknowledge it. Then you break it by replacing it with the new patterns of behavior, which are God's patterns of behavior. And that's what we saw all weekend long. We just did it in a very sneaky, fun way. And if you can relate to this, you're going to see how to break that pattern. It's just really simply replacing it. But how do you replace it? If it was that simple, everybody would have done it already. It does take work. It's simple, but it's not easy. Okay? So I'm going to start off with Danny as a participant coming into this, who's done a lot of trainings with me. We see everything from behind the scenes. We create the trainings, all this. As a full participant, just give me, we're just going to start off 1 or 2 big takeaways, 1 or 2 big experiences you had that just like, if we cut off the video right now, you have to hear this right first before anything else.
Yeah. Biggest one that comes to mind is, man, fathers need to step up. Fathers need to step up. And that was... We'll dive deep in that to a little bit, but like just what Sebastian said, I had a surrogate son that I brought to the training because his dad wasn't willing to go with him, not willing to put himself in a position of vulnerability to grow as a father and as a man. And this young man was starving for leadership, growth. So that was one. The second one was that, wow, our sons, these young men, we don't really understand the amount of pressure we put on them because of the expectations that we just never communicated with them. Because we're putting, a lot of what I experienced was the fathers were putting pressures that their fathers put on them, and they just unknowingly, automatically put it on their sons. And there's the young men are very aware of this pressure, this expectations, but the parents aren't very aware of it. They think maybe they're just lazy. Maybe they just think like they don't care, they don't try, or whatever it is. But as a father, and what I notice is we have so much influence on these young men, but we're not utilizing that influence on them. Yeah. The last thing was that, man, unless I am aware, unless we as fathers are aware that our children are a gift from God, that they're a gift from God, and we want to show up the very best for them because that they're a gift, then we're not going to come from a place of entitlement versus a place of gratitude that we get to lead our sons, that I get to lead my son, versus, man, I just need to get them to 18 and their life is theirs and, they can handle it from there. I did my very best. But when I get to, because they're a gift for me, I want to be a part of their life because God gave them to me, either adopted as through a second marriage, a stepson, or a biological son. They are a gift to us as a father.
One thing I want to talk about what just came to my mind right now we're talking. Let's start off talking about the father and son relationship. We had 2 fathers there with their stepsons. So it's not even their biological son. One of them, or both of them, their biological sons didn't want to come.
One of them doesn't have biological sons. So he only has
stepchildren. The other one.
The other one had a biological son, a third son, who didn't attend, but his stepsons did.
And then we had one son, who's an adult, 32, father who didn't want to come. Yeah. Shit. Let's talk about that first, because that's a crazy dynamics.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Which one? I was like, you're asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's start off with the one who had a biological son who didn't want to come. And at the end of the training, he said, I know my stepsons better now than I know my own biological son. And I'm saddened for that. I feel embarrassed for that. I feel ashamed of that. And he owned it. He owned the fact that I didn't know how to invest in myself. I didn't know how to invest in the relationship that I was building. And until I came to the training, until I came and saw how all the other fathers interacted, created space for their sons, he had no idea that the things that was important to his sons were important. He was just like, I had no idea. I had no idea this is what they were struggling with. I had no idea the pressure that they had on themselves. And so from that experience, he just learned, man, I have not, and I was never trained, and I never knew what it took to be a father that my boys needed. Grown both biological and step children. So that's one man. The other one, grown man, 32 years old.
Oh, let me talk about that one.
Yeah, you let me get fired up.
So let me talk. I'm gonna do a commercial break real quick here, and here's my commercial break. I feel like we're 2 really awkward, sexually attracted men sitting on the camera like this, which is disgusting. It's like I feel like we're homos. It's like it's just the way we're sitting to be on camera is really awkward and weird. So I'm putting this out there. If you have technical skills, you know how to set up our microphones, you can make us a podcast room so that when we do this, I can do my solo, Danny does his solo, we come in, but when we do have guests, like we have 2 boys in the other room, we wanted to do this. We all morning couldn't figure crap out.
It was like an hour of setting up, like, how do we do this mic?
I was going to throw the mic across the room. So if you have any technical skills, set up a podcast room, audio, visual, and all that, I'm going to invite you to Colorado Springs, spend the weekend with me, all expenses paid. Let's get this crap done together so we can have some great things in the future.
So we don't look like a homo?
Yes. I feel like my legs are spread right now, so he'd be in between me, so I'd be close to the camera. Because earlier the focus was off. I'm like,
bro, stop leaning into me.
I know. I feel like we're so close. You can't see this on camera, but we're a lot closer than what you see on camera. It feels like
I keep going out of focus. And I'm like, it's because your head's bigger,
I know.
so it's picking it up.
He's blaming me, that cork sucker. All right, let me talk about, now we're back from commercial. How do you DM me? If you can't get a hold of me, you don't deserve to come here and help us set up, okay? You have to be that technical smart enough to do that. So get a hold of us and come out to Colorado Springs. I'll pay for everything. Set this up because we're committed, not being perfect. We're committed to moving forward and progressing. We live by a mantra that says, to level up, you have to mess up. But messing up doesn't level you up. You have to clean up your mess up, then you'll level up. And we're going to mess up along the way. We're just committed getting the word and transformation out for men that we didn't receive. Now listen, we'll talk a lot about the church, but we're not saying the church is broken. Mm-hmm. We're just saying most churches are not committed making disciples. We're committed making disciples of specifically men. And then we'll give them tools so they can make disciples of their wife, spouse, and kids, okay? So back from commercial break, here we are. The man who's 32, I love him to death. I actually, quote unquote, adopted him as my son. He's been with me for several years as a coaching client. And I was disappointed. I go, hey, bro, we have this train come out. He wanted to come as a coach. I said, there's no coaches. And then he said, okay, I'll come. I go, you're coming by yourself? No, you have to ask your dad. And I get all this hesitancy. And then he finally asked his dad and came back, my dad's not coming. Now, let's talk about, how did you invite your dad? What did you do? He goes, I said, hey, Dad, there's a training coming up. These are the dates. If you want to go, that'd be cool. I was like, say, what? That's not what we teach you on enrollment. Mm-hmm. And he said, I just didn't want to hear him say no. Dude, my heart broke. Now think about this. You already know your dad's going to say no before he even does. And he's not asking him to go do anything stupid and outrageous. He's not asking him to do something that he couldn't do. He's asking him to have a deeper connection with him. So I coach him a little bit, and he goes again, and he goes, Dad, I talked to you about that training. I really want you to go. I want to connect with you better. I want to improve our communication. He was owning all of it. And his dad, now listen, this is generic curse we're talking about. I'm not talking bad about his dad. I'm talking about behavior his dad has that prevents him having the intimacy that God created us for. And his dad goes, let me check with your mother and all this. And he's like, bullshit. What do you mean check with mom?
It's like, isn't he retired?
You're retired. What are you going to check with? You going to get permission from her?
And he was saying, hey, I'm going to take care of the weekend. I'll do the
He's
flight.
paying for everything.
He wants to pay for everything to spend time with his dad.
To get to know him better. My son says, I'm fucking dropping everything, right? And then, long story short, he goes, listen, just tell me yes or no right now. Because that's what we train them. People that say maybe, don't do that. Because they take your energy waiting 3, 4, 5 days, maybe a week or a month before they give you answer back. And it starts breeding anger, disappointment, distrust. So get a yes or no now. You can figure out, create everything later. If you're committed, you'll figure out, create everything later. So he goes, Dad, just tell me yes or no now. You don't have to go talk to mom. And his dad replies back, will there be beer there? He goes, you know there'll be there. Of course there's going to be beer there probably. He goes, I'm not coming. Holy crap. When he told me that, listen guys, I just celebrated my 30-year anniversary. So I know things by milestones. I met Donna probably like 3 years after I got out of prison. I've never hit a man in the face. All the time I got arrested was violence. I couldn't control my anger. I have anger issues, just frustrated. I didn't know how to communicate. I'm angry, I'm mad, I'm sad. This first time, 33 years, I wanted to punch a man in the face multiple times. I was so angry. And here's why I was angry. And I'm super aware of why I was angry. Because he says, as a father, we're supposed to lay our life down for one another. That's just brothers and sisters in Christ. Then there's principles that God teaches us that we're supposed to protect our family, right? From the lies and the evil one and all this stuff. The overall principle is this. If we're supposed to lay our life down for our brothers and sisters, how much more are we supposed to lay our life down for our children? Mm-hmm. And he used a fucking excuse of having alcohol there or beer to not show up. So here's what I made up my head that this young man at 32 heard. Because he heard this all his life. He just heard it as an adult now. I choose my moral bullshit. Mm-hmm. My legalism.
My self-righteousness.
My self-righteousness, looking good, not being around alcohol. Over my son, over you. And I said, like Danny said at the beginning, we as fathers have so much fucking work to do. I'm so angry. And yes, I'm angry at that man, but I'm not really angry. I'm angry at the lie he's believed up and down. I'm angry that he's lost a great relationship with this kid. I love him. He's a goofball. He makes me laugh because I don't know how to laugh. And we're together, we say the dumbest stuff. And he's missing out this beautiful gift this young man is. And the gift of shaping him to be a freaking amazing, godly man. And I was just so angry. And yes, it was very immature that I want to beat the shit out of his face multiple times. I mean, I was so angry. But I was just really angry at the belief system he has, the sins that he has caught down from his father, that he's trying to put down to this young man, that we will not let happen. And that was just such a moment for me. After the anger, or in the middle, is just coming in and out, is intertwined, I start crying. I was sad for him. Because as a little boy myself who never had a father, I was just sad, like, man, I don't know what's worse. Not having a father reject you, or having a father that rejected you. Brothers, if this conversation is speaking to you, don't stop here. Join the free 5-day challenge and begin to apply these principles with other men in the king's men. And I was just sitting in that. So I took some of it personally myself. I said, this is bullshit. I was so angry. And I had a conversation with Danny. I said, hey, brother, we like to be messy and fail forward. We don't know how it's going to work out. We don't know if we're breaking our own frame rules. But he did everything we asked him. He asked his father. Mm-hmm. He's a father of 2 young boys. And he's expecting a third child. And I said, hey, let's let him come, because he is basically my son. He calls me dad. I call him son. His kids call me papa. I will be his dad even though I'm not in the training. And he's going to learn both sides. The perspective of dad, perspective of son. And we're going to invest him into his next generation, his sons. And let's break our own rules, right? And we'll just, anybody has a problem with it, we'll explain to him at the training. And Danny aligned with me, agreed, and we told him to just come, and he came. And man, some of the great conversation we had, some of the great corrections. Mm-hmm. Danny had a conversation. We want to talk about it. And he's open to it because he knows we do it because we love him. He just texted me, thank you for speaking my life and correcting me. Blah. He just texted me that. And because we want to show you live what's missing and how to break that generational curse. So we'll come back to that. That person won't mention his name, hopefully not on purpose at least. We might get passionate to say it. But he's a great guy. It doesn't matter if we mention his name. Yeah. If he was here, he'd share everything with you too. Yeah. So that was my story about who's coming in the room. The fathers, the sons, and their situation. Let's dive in. Unless you have another one. Do you have another? Not. We're going to just dive into some of the experiences that I observed from a trainer perspective. All right, so it's going to become different. You're going to get some coming from Danny as a participant perspective, and then we're going to close it all. And how do you pass this baton down to your kids? Okay, mm-hmm. Go ahead.
About my experience?
Yeah, just one or two highlights in detail.
I was just thinking about the other participant whose father didn't choose to come as well.
Oh, say what do you want to say?
So he was. There's two participants where the dad chose not to come. For mine, I adopted one.
Damn.
He's a young man, just graduated high school, and he asked his dad same thing. He's like, Dad, I have this camp, this retreat coming up. It's father and son. You know, would you be able to come with me? I want to make memories with you. I want to learn. I want to grow to be a biblical man. Will you come with me? And his father's response was, are you trying to fix me right now? Are you, young man, trying to fix me and tell me that I don't know what I'm doing and that I need to get fixed or something? He's like, whoa. This is a father, so I wanted to go with you so we can go together and learn together. And his dad's like, no, I'm not going with that. I personally never had a conversation with him. But this young man, 18 years old, about to get a full ride to go to college, and his dad didn't want to invest the time to go with him because he didn't want to be fixed. That was the insecurities he was saying, and his son was just so bewildered, like, what? How did that come out? Like, I just asked you to come with me. But this young man took it upon himself, and he said, hey, I still want to invest myself, and I don't have a dad that's going. And I said, well, you know what? You did your very best. So I'm going to adopt you. You're going to become as my second son. And so he invested his own money. I mean, he saved up money. We went by IHOP after a meeting, and he's like, okay, I got my cash. He paid me cash because his parents took all his money out of his bank account, so he couldn't pay to go to training or whatever. So he'd have to scrap it up, figure out how to get there. And I said, hey, if you get the entry fee, I'll take care of everything else. I got the food, your flight. I'll invest in you to go as my second son.
Okay, pause.
Yeah.
This story, you guys don't understand. I'm restraining my anger. I have so much, again, not at his father.
Yeah.
At our culture and generation. At our church. Our institutional church.
These are quote unquote godly men. People who go to church on a regular basis 3 times a week.
Now listen, they go to church 3 times a week. 3 times a week. They think their son wants them to go to a church camp. That's the context they see everything in. It's a church camp, father and son. And the son wants to go because he wants a relationship with his dad. His dad's like, you trying to fucking fix me. Look at that ego. Look at that insecurity that I'm angry at. Look at that lie he believes. And the devil has stole him that intimate relationship. Listen, me and my wife would fucking adopt that kid. He came in a day early.
Great
Danny.
kid.
He spent time. My wife said, Holy shit. He's an amazing kid. I would adopt him in a heartbeat. Okay, second, so notice that generational curse flowing down. And he made it about the father. The father made it by himself. Like, you trying to fix me? Yes, motherfucker, we're all fallen. We're sinful human beings. We cannot be perfect until we're firm perfection, which is Jesus Christ.
You think you know better than me? You think you know better than me? I'm a dad of 3. Blah, what do you need? What are you going to teach me?
Fucking guys. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
If you talk like that, I will fly out to Colorado to this training. Because here's why. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the fucking lies you believe. The things that are robbing you from intimate relationship with your son. Robbing you from leading your wife. Robbing you from being the man of God. Robbing you from feeling the Father's love. There's so much defensiveness there. So much insecurity. Oh my gosh.
Self-righteousness.
Just the other kids. I'm a father of 3. Well, I'll pray for all of them. And he's not. I don't never met the guy either. But it's a lie that he believes that's pissing me off. That's the stronghold of the enemy. That's what's taking out our whole freaking fatherhood culture. Yes, I have a lot to improve in. And every time more I do these trainings, more I grow up. Mm-hmm. More I watch them, more I grow up. The feedback they give me, I grow up. You can hear some of this. It's amazing stuff. Anyways, let me just say one more thing about this father. I never met him anything. Mm-hmm. What makes me most angry, I got to know his son.
Yeah.
And he's missing out on this amazing, powerful kid. This kid asked him, he's so wise. Mm-hmm. Obviously got full scholarship. I want to mentor him. I want to disciple him. And I'm actually wrestling my flesh like, hey, calm down, brother. Are you trying to save him? Mm-hmm. Or is God speaking to you? Because he's off college now. He wants to start a business. He wants to do online shipping. His declaration for the next 90 days after this training is make $10,000. I'm like, whoa, that's really aggressive, this and that. He did his homework research already. He knows the time frame he should make his first 1,000 from drop shipping and everything. And he has an amazing product. And we said, why do you want it? He said, so I buy a car and have some freedom.
So I can have independence.
So that's the first one. Now, just to think about that. Second, he worked hard. He's a little entrepreneur. He's failed 2 or 3 times, which entrepreneurs supposed to do. But he made enough to have a couple thousand in savings. You tell me an 18-year-old has a couple enough $1,000 in savings. Holy shit, that's very impressive.
Yeah.
Proud of that kid.
He went and opened up his own business banking account. He had to go like 3 or 4 different accounts because they kept turning him down, banks. And he's like, I'm going to keep going until, because this is what my target was, get a business account so I can run my business.
Look, he's not afraid of failure. He's focused on the target. He's already, that's our coaching model. But then think of this. How dare they? As a parent, how dare you, of your own insecurity and your freaking scared self,
uncertainty,
not want your son to grow and take away his money? My mind's bogged. I don't understand that. Why would you do that as a parent? This kid wants to go to a quote, quote, with their understanding, a church retreat, a church program, camp. You go to church 3 times a week and you don't want your son to go that? Why? Because you're scared he'll outgrow you and your control. And I was just so pissed that he took the money that. And again, if it wasn't for Danny, I'd tell him, say, fuck you to his parents. I'm paying for him to come. And we had to slow the row, let life happen. And again, my biggest thing, if you get to know me, God's timing is not mine, and it pisses me off all the time. Yeah. And Danny had to just wait and let God's timing happen. He had to have certain conversations with parents. It worked a lot better because we didn't teach him how to be rebellious. I was angry. But I don't want you to miss some of this story. And we could be here for tens of hours. I mean, we can all the amazing transformation. But we're only hit 1 or 2 highlights now. We'll do a second podcast or something. But this one's so significant because we're talking about the sins of the father going down next generation. And that's why we create this training. And then we got to tell you how we're going to interrupt it. And listen, I'm not mad at this kid's parents. I'm mad at the sin and the lie that they're under. I'm mad that they don't get to enjoy this amazing kid. He's in my house right now. They're about to leave today back. And he's an amazing kid. I would adopt him in a heartbeat. I'm not lying. I'm like, God, create this kid. He's going to be something phenomenal. I'm telling you, he is. But his dad's missing out on him. And then investing in him. And seeing God work through him. His mom, instead of control, see that she did a great job raising a powerful young man. As screwed up they raised him, he is powerful. And they're missing out that gift that they did their best. And he's still an amazing God. Because God is bigger than them. So, that's my interruption. I just didn't want you to miss those two big principles. That the dad out of his own hurt, that's the generational sin that we have to break. The mom taking the money out of his account out of fear of what? Fear of what? That kid created $2,000 as an 18-year-old while in high school. I mean, Danny told you the persistence he had opening a business account when everybody's rejecting him. Oh my, I didn't know that. That's amazing. And she's missing out. She's already done a great job. She doesn't have to live in fear that something's going to happen to him. She has a great responsible. That's what I'm angry at. The mom got stolen from dad, and then think of mom and dad's relationship together. If they're that way to the son.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Okay, go ahead, Danny. Woo.
No, I mean, you brought up that you're fatherless.
Yeah.
I consider them almost fatherless in terms of the lack of leadership that's there, just because they're not taught. But yeah, that just popped up on my mind. So yeah, we go from there.
Okay, we're going a lot longer than we expected, but we want to go deep. So I want to hit one story for me, and then we can continue to hit a big deep story. Two things happened that was huge for me this whole training. So we have all these activities from beginning to end, just show how they show up, what voice they listen to, God's or others. We did some awesome exercise games. They loved it. It was so fun. We learned so much through laughter. Then we learned about discipleship and all that. Then that night, it's all about self-work. Day one's all about self-work, self-work, self-work. Day two is about now giving it away. So we weren't consumers. We were created to be contributors. We're created to make disciples. But day one, we need to know that we need to be discipled. So the day ends on a fire pit. And we didn't do it our traditional fire pit. The boys were on one side, or the sons, and the men were on the other side, the fathers. I moderate conversation back and forth. And through the questions of moderation, wow, every eye was crying.
Yeah.
Fathers,
sons, together. Yeah.
Everybody was crying. And here's why. We never asked a question where the fathers were speaking at the son. We never asked questions where someone's speaking at the father. We asked questions about themselves. And one of the questions we asked the father about themselves as he's sharing, like, what's your biggest disappointment or something, I won't give it away, but it's about him and his journey. And the question was only meant for the son to see what the son didn't even know how to ask the father. And the father didn't know how to tell the son. And as the father shared vulnerably his difficulty and struggle being a father and just raising himself up, dude, the son's here, and you can hear them all sniffing and crying. Now, here's the magic. Ready? We told you how dysfunctional our group was. We had a couple sons there without their fathers. We had fathers there with their stepsons. I had my operations director, he came volunteer, doesn't even have a son, just kids, and he was a part of it. When you hear another man's struggle and journey becoming a man, I don't care who's your father, all those kids related as if that was their father. And when the sons shared, all the fathers heard their own son's voice because we're all wrestling through that generational stage the same way. And so it's like magnified that one son got to hear 7 fathers. One father got to hear 7 sons. It was amazing, that dynamic. The next morning we had a debrief. Everybody's, all the boys, which selfishly, that's all Danny and I really cared about. The men will kick their ass in another training later. Yeah. But all the sons said the best was last night. They said they never heard their father so vulnerable. They'd never seen their father cry before, or another man cry before. Yeah, they said, I've never seen a man cry before. We're like, what? It was crazy. Then they cried. Holy crap. They said, we never cried in front of MB before. And we're like, what the hell? Yeah. That we're not taught to give him permission to be vulnerable. And that was a highlight. I mean, I was going crazy. So that's one. Then the second part of that, again, you'll see the theme here for me as an observer and as a trainer, to see how the flow and process worked, how it hit our target. But in the end, no, that's not day one. At the very end of our training, we do an exercise called the power I see in you. And so they get to see them for the whole week. And now I frame them, teach them how to say adjectives, the power I see in you. And they just look in each other's eyes. It's a very intimate. I mean, so intimate. The boys at first, when we're showing how the train goes, they're laughing, giggling, and they won't look at each other in the eye. They're looking sideways.
It's embarrassing.
And I kept on telling them, you have to look at each other in the eye. And it was so uncomfortable. And you know how it happens for us men and people in general is we'll start giggling and stuff because it's uncomfortable. We're trying to hide, mask it. And we had to force them to stay in the contact. And they looked at you and said, the power I see in you. And when the fathers had their sons in front of it say it, you sure heard them crying and sniffling. And we're in such an intimate moment. And I was just thinking, God, I was praying over them during the whole time. Just thinking, God, that these men get a little rest in their heart and souls. You finally got acknowledgement. You're doing good, Father. You worked hard. Those extra hours and moments, intentional. And we always feel like we're fucking up. Like, is that enough? Was that the right question? Can I do more? Did I piss him off by asking me, I help him do this, and they'll fix his car, do this and that, whatever it may be. But I talked to the fathers afterwards. I said, I heard you sniffing, crying when your son blessed you and said the power is in you. And they started tearing up with me and choking up with me and say, yes, because I never knew if I'm doing enough. And that to me was such a reward. I mean, the sons got their rewards for, I mean, we go on and on, we'll do part 2 or 3, whatever. But the fathers, for me, being a father, and knowing that we designed this, Danny and I, that this training blessed the sons and the fathers, and the fathers got their gift. Wow, that was so powerful. Now listen, you can't just do one exercise of power scene. It took 2 days just to lead up for that conversation. It was so powerful. But those were my 2 highlights. We're gonna have to cut this video short because we're taking the boys now. We're gonna go shoot some guns, eat a great
first
meal.
time.
Yep, and go eat a great meal and take a hike. Watching these boys shoot the gun first time, holy tamale, my stars, is amazing. Now, if those of you know me, you know I'm not supposed to have a gun as an ex-con. And so I came out here, 4 or 5 years ago, I got my first gun. I told you I was super excited. God just made these miracles. Even when I had a hiccup to reject me, I had to reapply. Then I went and got my concealed permit. And all that time, I was like so happy. I felt redeemed. Everything was redeemed. God redeemed it all. I didn't know in that moment, 4 or 5 years ago, the redemption wasn't just only for me. It was for my commitment making disciples. When my son comes out, we go gun shooting. We take the skeets out and shoot. This time, unfortunately, these boys don't get to it, but it's something they can look forward next time. My sons love that. Other men get to do it. And so I just want to see 5 years later what God does that you might not know. I get to take these young men who never got to shoot guns again, teach them in a safe and powerful way that God's entrusting them with this power. Isn't that freaking amazing? So those are my 2 stories. Just them giving each other feedback, and I'm going to close that for me. What about for you, Danny?
One that came up for me is there was a one young man, and he's one of the stepsons. He's been fathered by 2 fathers, and there's just this stark difference between the son wanting the struggle and the pull between the standards of one father and the standards of the other one, and how he struggles to like, how can I? They're so almost contrary to each other.
They are.
But I want them to know that I love them, so I want to show up and execute and perform for both of them, but they're so very conflicting in terms of their values and what's important to them, and how he just felt so like, I can't rest because I just need to do great here, but I also need to do great here, but doing great here also means that I'm disappointing this father. And it's just this internal struggle. And specifically, it was a young man. He's smart, amazing, funny as shit kid, hilarious kid. And one of his fathers is, that his biological father, he grew up and, he's always been around bars and drinking and sports. He's he said he was like a frat boy. And there's the other father who was his stepfather who came to the training, who's just invested in this young man, biblically responsible, focused on having a great marriage, communication, just does the work for himself to lead himself. And he says, and I look at my 2 fathers and I sit and I want to do great for this father who just teach me these values, takes me to church, invests in me, puts time and energy in just to love me, but his values are biblical, the best that he can. And then his other father is like, hey, about fun, about winning, frat boy. He's like, but I want his acceptance and love too. And I feel like, how can I win both here? I don't know how to win both. And because I feel like I never can rest, I need to have the perfect grades. I need to be perfect at sports, because one side loves this, the academics and being outgoing, talking to everyone, and just being everyone's ass kisser, being liked by everyone. And the other one struggles with, alcohol is good, partying is good, winning is good. And when I can't win, if I can't score, if I don't do well in sports, I feel like he's disappointed at me. I don't feel like I'm worthy enough to be his son. And so for me, it was just this reminder of like the struggle that no matter what kind of father I am, my son always wants my affirmation. My son always wants to hear that I did good, I did well enough. In both ways are both as tempting, and how he struggles with that and how he can't rest. He's like, I can't rest. I gotta go. And all he wants is just to be himself. He just wants to be himself. He just wants to know, can I be loved by being myself, that I don't have to maybe make the best grades. Maybe I can miss a couple of goals and shots, and will I still be loved? And it just reminds me of, man, as an orphan, as a son of God, when I just don't feel like I have been fully loved for who I am, I just need to keep going, performing, and I don't get any rest.
Yeah. If you're okay, Danny, we have a lot of stories. I want to close on that story. And here's how I want to close on it, because it's a perfect example. First of all, you have the biological father who's a frat boy. You have the stepfather who's been in his life most of his life, if not more than half of his life.
I mean, shit, they talk the same.
Oh, they
it's
almost
crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah. But he is almost like the responsible father, frat father. And I saw an illustration of that, and how you said we wrestle as human beings, we wrestle in between both. This is like the orphan mindset, and this is sonship mindset. And he bounces back and forth. He has these orphan mindset, and I think that's the majority of people call themselves Christian. And the orphan mindset is this: I'm not enough yet. I'm not enough. So I'm going to perform for my dad, get his approval and acceptance. Look at our prayers. God, help me do this.
Give me this.
Give me this.
I want this.
It's a consumer mindset. Take, because I'm orphan. I'm not enough. I'm scarcity. Over here, we have the stepfather who's doing the biblical principles way and gives him sonship. Son, I already adopted you.
I adopted you.
You're enough. I didn't adopt you after you scored those points. I didn't adopt you after you performed. I didn't adopt you after college and you did all those things. I adopted you when you couldn't perform. And so guess what? Sonship, you pray different. Instead of give me, I need, you say, because I already am. Teach me how to steward these responsibilities. Then it's abundant mindset. I already am. It's a contribution mindset. I was created because I'm already enough. I give to others. And so what I heard you saying, that young man is in this tension in between constantly. And I thought to myself, it's like, though I know I'm under sonship, I drift into orphan often. Then I have to remind, wait. It's a conscious reminder. Sometimes coming to a training, sometimes being with my brother, sometimes just being in the Word. But then something has to trigger me, remind me to come back. I'm already a son of God. I don't need to beg and ask. I don't need to consume anymore. I'm not scarce. I'm in abundance. I'm made to contribute. What I have is already enough to give to others. And I'm a son of the living God. Positionally, authoritatively. And now, instead of asking for it, I steward what I have. Let me steward my relationships, my resources, my time. And it's a whole different mindset. And so, I will close for me with this. Like Danny, I feel like I'm tired a lot when I'm not listening. Have a relationship with God, His people, and giving. Now listen, that sounds funny. And giving. I'm tired. Like that young man, I'm tired when I drift over here as an orphan and I'm needy. I don't have enough. It's my mindset. Listen, I don't have enough. I'm needy. It just drains me. And someone asks a favor, then I blow up. My wife asks them, I get angry. My children, don't you know? I'm tired. I don't have enough. I'm an orphan. I'm in scarcity mentality. I'm more tired then than when I'm over here as a son and I'm giving. This weekend, I was exhausted. It was different because I didn't have any alone time. It was constantly being with them. But while I was on with them, dude, I had supernatural strength, supernatural clarity, listening to all conversations, seeing things. It was amazing. So for me, Danny helped me remind me through this young man's life. I was like, wow, trying to please both sides is tiring. And I was thinking to myself, when am I most tired? Not when I'm giving. When I'm trying to receive, I'm trying to take, consume, when I'm in a scarcity, when I feel like I'm not enough, I'm more exhausted. And it's funny, this weekend, how many hours a week? I'm like, we're 12 hours a day,
12.
2 days, another half days, 12, 12, 6, just straight, right? And I didn't feel as tired. I felt so energized, blessed. I'm never more clear and focused. It was amazing. So maybe for me, closing, I can summarize this way. The whole training really is about being an orphan mindset to a sonship. And for me, I'm learning and I'm seeing that when I am in sonship, that's where all this energy, this passion, this mindset abundance comes from. It's not stupid mantras. It's not how I feel. It's not all these temporary things. I experienced 24 plus 12 more, 6 more, 20, 30 hours straight of energy that I could not induce myself. It's a long game. It's eternal strength, not this temporary one devotional positive thinking bullshit. It is just doing the will of the Father under the title, under the authority of a sonship, that I'm already enough, and now how to steward everything. So thank you for that gifting, because I didn't even think of that until you talked about it. But that's how I think this weekend went for me. And of course, we got tons of details shared with you. How about you in closing?
My closing would be, I think it was also just this place of gratitude that, I was chosen and I was adopted, and I see the men who showed up with their stepsons, and how much they just want to pour into them, and how much the sons wanted to receive, because they weren't coming from a place of I'm entitled to this. Because when I know it was a choice that God chose me, it was a choice that He adopted me, it was a choice that I adopted this young man, I will throw down everything to make sure I make the most out of it. And I'm so grateful for it, because I've been given much, I get to give much. Yeah. And so that's what I want to close with.
Yeah. That adoption thing, we had a conversation before getting on the camera, and we were saying, how powerful is that? That you chose us, God. You adopted us when there was really nothing to adopt. We had nothing to offer you. We had nothing. We were just these lost, scared, lonely kids. Come to me, those who are weak and weary, I'll give you rest. We're weak and weary of self-sustaining. We had nothing to offer you. You gave it. You adopted us. But it's so funny how we, in our minds, have to perform and dance and have enough money and title and position, play the best golf score. Look how we talk to each other as men. It's disgusting. And we're trying to say, look, I'm enough. Adopt me. Versus our God's mindset is, I adopt you not because what you could do for me, but what I want to bless you with. And that's why I heard Danny say at the end there, he is just so grateful he wants to overflow and give it and bless others. So in fact, I want to close this. Danny's stance in the next 90 days is he's going to pick a date. He's going to lead a training for 24 men at Forge. We just did the Forge training. We modified it to be Forge Legacy. It's still from being a consumer to a contributor, from a orphan to a son of God, from a scarcity to abundance. That's the journey. That's what we're going to take you through. Instead of legacy meaning father and son, now it's open to everybody.
Yeah, all men.
And all men, 18 years old and older. And Danny's taking a stand for that, 24 people. So I really want you to know, the next video will give you more details of this training. We'll give you the exact date, but just know it's coming before October. Next 90 days, we will have another men's training here in Colorado Springs, 24 men, and it's what we have done is just going to overflow onto you guys.
Yeah.
So if any of this resonates with you, contact us so we know immediately, kind of like pre-order, so we give you the dates first and you get the seats first, okay? Anything else in closing, brother?
Nope, that's it.
Hey,
All right.
I really want you guys to know that you're not alone. That's the other thing the Father's told us. That even though they get the Bible study and stuff, but having that shared experience takes it another level, right?
No, I was going to add on to that, because some of the kids, and even the fathers said, hey, I've been to Bible study, I've been to men's group my whole life. And they said, but this actually feels like church.
Yeah.
They said, I believe this is what church should feel like, because I'm being transformed. I'm not just learning, I'm not just digesting, I'm not just information, I'm being transformed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. So you're not alone.
Yeah.
We will see you before October. Next video will give you the exact dates. Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Brother, if you're ready to stop doing life alone, then your next step is simple. Join the free 5-day challenge inside of the Kingsmen HQ. Then, when you're ready to experience true brotherhood, apply for the Forge. We'll see you inside.